You know?
Here we go.
Yo. As my dogs just left.
I do hear a bit of that now when I start streaming. Welcome to the Instigators Hockey Show. I'm Paulie D. Chris Katsopoulos. I do hear an echo. Katsi and I back having fun with the program. We are working on some technical things. We got rid of the echo, it seems like. So I just want to say welcome back. Our last show was a bit of a catastrophe. We had fun, but the technical stuff was a little bit more than we could handle at the time when the program was running. I hope the audio is better. I know that there's a bit of a lag with me, not so much of a bit of a lag with Chris, but we're going to do what we can tonight. We'll be on for about an hour, so just sit back, grab a beer, like me, and let's have some fun. First subject.
That'd be the first time I never had a lag. Most guys, when I played, would say I lagged in my skating.
Oh, that's good stuff, big boy. All right. Let's get started. You know, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to be an ass. I have my Florida Panthers jersey here. You know, Chris didn't know what to expect here. I got Rangers behind me and the Florida Panthers. I have many jerseys that I wear, and it's going to bring me into the first topic. Obviously, you know, you got Kyle Beach. You got the situation from 2010 with the Chicago Blackhawks, and unfortunately, it looks like Joel Quenneville stepped down last week as the Florida Panthers head coach. Probably one of the best coaches in the NHL. To me, it's a catastrophe. I'm not here to tell you what's right, what's wrong, what's indifferent. We don't know the real story. We don't know what happened. You know, there's an old expression, and I've used this many times. You know, there's two sides to every story, and then there's the truth. So, you know, it looks like Bowman stepped down. It looks like Quenneville steps down. And Katz, what's going on with Cheveldayoff? What's happening there over in Winnipeg?
Well, he's apparently escaped the wrath from what I've read the last couple of days. He had a press conference with the owner of Winnipeg, and he looked very contrite about it. And the owner wasn't real proud of the situation in Winnipeg too. But everything's a green light for Cheveldayoff, which I find kind of surprising. I mean, I don't know the guy. I do know that, you know, he was a hockey player at one time. But for all the other guys, you know, like Bowman to resign and Joel Quenneville to resign, and, you know, all the other penalties being levied out, I find it hard to believe that he escaped. I mean, they kind of use an excuse that, you know, he was kind of like the mop-up boy in that room when he heard all that being discussed between the Chicago organization. In other words, you're considered insignificant, and yet you were able to hear this, and, you know, you didn't say anything about it either. I find that hard to believe, but you know what? Yeah, I think I told you this last week, and you and I have talked about this in between shows. This is a tough time for the National Hockey League. Gary Bettman and his owners, and, you know, all the teams and everything else. This is a black eye. In fact, it's probably double black eye for the NHL. What's happening here lately with all this stuff that's going on. I mean, and they're probably trying to get this out of the mainstream news as fast as possible by meeting with Beach and Cheveldayoff having his press conference, and, you know, with Joel resigning and Stan Bowman resigning, and I think the lawyer for Kyle Beach has been in Chicago the last couple of days trying to get a settlement with them. When we know what that means, cha-ching, cha-ching. And I'm pretty sure that somewhere down the line, he'll probably go after the NHL as well, unless they can come to some kind of, agreement beforehand. But, Joel, talking about Joel Quenneville, like, obviously, second most wins as a head coach in the National Hockey League, 3 Stanley Cup championships, building a powerhouse there in Florida, resigning. It's, I hate to say it because Joel's a friend of mine, but he basically lied, obviously, for him to resign like that, because he denied. But what came out in the story was his words exactly. I haven't got time for this right now. We as an organization don't have time for this right now. We're trying to win a Stanley Cup. I mean, those are the words that were apparently spoken in that meeting. So I think Joel did the right thing. But I'm not so sure this is going to end, Paul. I think there's more to come.
Kotz, I put myself in in a management role here, and I think to myself, okay, I'm the head coach. We're on the way to win a Stanley Cup. I get this type of information. I don't know. Again, like I said, there's 2 sides to the story. There's the truth, and there's 2 sides. What did Joel actually hear? Was it, hey, we have a situation, or it was, remember now, Aldridge said it was consensual. So,
Yeah.
I feel Joel stepping down, unless he had information beyond, I just put myself there, and I'm trying to win a Stanley Cup, and I say, okay, well, turn this over to HR. I'm the coach of the team. My responsibility is dressing 24 players. I have to worry about winning the Stanley Cup. I can't worry about what's happening outside of the team and playing games. Turn this over to HR. Hey. And move on. So
I agree with you 100% on that. I think the big problem is here, Paulie, is the fact that he's quoted saying a certain thing, certain lines.
Gotcha.
And then when asked about it in the preliminary investigations, he denied it. He denied saying it not once but twice. So I agree with you. I think Joel was thinking about the Stanley Cup. And I think if you take this 25, 30, 40 years ago, I'll say it out loud, nobody would have gave a crap. I don't care what anybody wants to tell me or tell me I'm wrong.
Right.
Nobody would have gave a crap. But in today's world, socially, politically correct, woke world, words come back to haunt you.
Yeah.
And those words came back to haunt Joel.
Yeah.
Because he couldn't deny it in the very end when he obviously met with Gary Bettman.
Right.
But I do agree with you. I mean, I know Joel. Joel's a smart guy, and Joel's a good guy. I'm forever still going to be his friend as long as he wants me as one. He probably did exactly what you said. That was his mindset. I got a chance at a Stanley Cup here. My first head coaching Stanley Cup win. He had a win with Colorado as an assistant. So he was all gung-ho about that. And with the team he had, I can understand that. Yeah. But unfortunately, again, the words came back to haunt.
Yeah.
That's my gut feeling on this.
That makes sense. Again, like I said, I mean, we don't know. And, this is not, and please, I want everyone to understand, this is not to desensitize the situation and Kyle Beach's, situation. Please don't take it that way. But Joel Quenneville steps down as the head coach of the Florida Panthers for something that happened a while ago, like Kotze said, more so for maybe giving misinformation. I'm just trying to put my mind into, as being the coach, to say, hey, listen, I don't know what's happening here. I don't know what happened. But this is beyond, honestly, what we say in a lot of times in businesses, this might be a little bit past my pay scale. This is an HR issue. This isn't, a power play issue. This isn't a a scratch or an injury. This isn't, it's his job to dress the best team, to get the best players, to try to achieve the ultimate goal. So again, Kotze and I are not trying to. I want everyone to understand. We're not trying to desensitize the situation. I mean, what happened, and Kyle Beach deserves the right to be heard, and all those things. No one's disagreeing with that. But to see Bowman step down, and now Quenneville steps down, and to see Cheveldayoff still very much available or trying to make a case for himself. It just, again, like you said, Kotz, it's made it a very difficult situation and an ugly situation for the NHL as a whole. And again, Kotze and I are not trying to discredit or take anything away from the severity of Kyle Beach's situation. It's just, it seems like there's so many unanswered questions, and I think as time goes by, we'll see more of really what happened. Like I said, two sides to every story and the truth. But it's very interesting for Joel to step down and Bowman to step down and not Cheveldayoff. I think that's one of the areas where I'm going. And then I think a great, the next part of this was, Cotton, I'll let you chime in here in a minute, was, the NHL is working on getting Aldrich off the Stanley Cup, which it goes to show that, they're acknowledging more than I think we're being told. And that's me just instigating the story.
Well, they really had no choice by taking Aldrich's name off the cup. There's too much heat and too much pressure and too much bad publicity about it. But I'm gonna leave it this way, the whole situation, until further stuff comes out, which we know is going to come out. I mean, let's call it what it is. I mean, this is probably not going to end for a while, because finalization is going to be some kind of monetary payment to Kyle Beach and his family. I mean, let's call it what it is there. If everyone's to believe the story the way it's been portrayed, the Chicago Blackhawks top executives are the one to blame here.
Right. Agreed.
Okay?
Agreed.
And if the story is to believe the way it's been portrayed, Donald Fair from the NHLPA should be taking some of the heat too, because they were apparently all notified before any of these inside the dressing room meetings were happening with coaches like Joel Quenneville. So, knowing what I know about like corporations, which is very little, I don't know why you'd ask like seventh man, sixth man, fifth man, fourth man on the totem pole for your advice on that if you're the head of the organization.
Right.
You should have taken care of it yourself. Right. That's why Scotty Bowman's son, Stan Bowman, resigned.
Right.
That's why the Chicago Blackhawks are going to be liable for a lot of money here.
Sure.
And maybe possibly the NHL as well. We don't know. We don't know where this is going, but
sure.
That's it. I'm pretty simple about it. So
yeah, I think
it's too bad. It's a tragedy, but it's out there now, and it's a big warning for anybody else in the future in the NHL when it comes down to these situations that have really nothing to do with the actual game of hockey. It has something to do with off the ice. So they all got to be real careful how they deal with stuff now.
Well, I'll tell you, the NHL has had a black eye for quite a while. Kotze, I mean, when we were running a program 6-7 years
ago. You mean like that stupid cross-checking rule that they got going on right now? My God.
When we first launched and a couple of years into it, we were actually in the Globe and Mail. They did a nice article on us. Puck Life did a big article on us. We had the late Kurt Walker on from Dignity After Hockey. The NHL is not new to black eyes. The treatment of players in your day under under the commissioner at that time. With the treatment and the concussion issues and the stealing of money, and now sexual allocations and
I'm still waiting for my $450,000 check I was supposed to get at 55.
Alan Eagleson. I mean, just it goes on and on with the NHL's reputation of black eyes when it comes to players. The treatment of players. You and I have talked many times about how badly, how poorly the NHL has treated, especially players of your day, the guys who kind of carved the NHL, carved it out for the players that are here today. The Players Association wasn't that strong and didn't really take care of you guys the way, the guys are being taken care of now. But still, as a whole, this isn't the first time that this league has just had an absolute black eye with the mismanagement of players.
You see, Paulie, this one here is getting notoriety because it has really nothing to do with the game of hockey.
Right.
What's on the ice? A guy tore his knee up. A guy hurt his back. A guy got concussed. A guy had to quit because of being in pain. Blah blah blah. Like we were discussing in the past.
Right.
This one here is getting notoriety because it's not just hockey people that are following it.
Right.
It's anybody and everybody in this sexual abuse world right now. That's why it's such a big deal. Like you can't tell me that everybody really cares about a former NHLer that might have played 17 years and needs a knee operation now and can't afford to do it. Only the real hardcore hockey fans will put some care into it. And somebody who doesn't care about the game of hockey could give two shits.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Great.
But when it comes to a sexual abuse case, that's different. We're treading in a different territory here. Right. And let's not forget, the first to do it was Sheldon Kennedy, a teammate of mine my last year in Glens Falls, Adirondack. My last year in Detroit, we went to training camp together. I played the whole year with him. Then Theo Fleury coming out years after, having all kinds of trouble with his life.
Yeah.
And now you got this one here. This is a biggie.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, yeah, I agree. Well, I mean, I think as this story unfolds, we'll be able to, cover more and talk more about it. But I think right now we'll lay this one to rest and move on with the rest of our day.
Yeah, I mean, it's that's the sad part. Again, you and I have talked about it. I don't know how many times. There's some good things going on in the NHL right now. Ranger fans got to be a little bit pleased about how the New York Rangers are doing, although they're still a little suspect because new team, new players, new coaches, new game plan, new style, but being 6-3-1 or 6-2-2 or whatever they are, I mean, that's pretty impressive. And then you got my former Hartford Whaler team down in Carolina.
Yeah.
That's undefeated. I mean, 8-0, and I got the Edmonton Oilers finally putting it all together with all that talent with McDavid and Draisaitl leading the league in scoring, and they're 7-1 too. And there's so many good things going on in the National Hockey League right now, but there's that one big black spot that is kind of negating all the good stuff.
Yeah. No, agreed. So I know you touched base on Carolina, and I want to come back to that, but Kotz, I've been kind of holding this back, and I wanted to wait for the perfect time, and I think I'm going to probably talk about this for the rest of this year's podcast. But, our last podcast I actually had to get rid of because it was so technically it wasn't okay. So a lot of people didn't hear this rant, and here it goes.
Who do you got?
I am. The defending Stanley Cup champs are under 500 right now. They're 5 wins, 3 losses, and 1 tie. Overtime loss. Kotz, a lot of people have a lot of different opinions, and as the instigators, it's my job to do this, and I'm sorry. So, I live here in Tampa, and I've been to plenty of Lightning games. They're a dynamic team. They're a hot hockey club. They have some dynamic goal scoring and talent with Stamkos and Kucherov, and they've had every element. To be honest with you, Braden Point is just genius and tight with the puck. They have great talent. So please, when I say this isn't about the talent of the club. But I'm going to get to the instigating part. Back-to-back champions, Cots. Year one, 1920. 2019, 2020. Shortened season, get cut off with COVID. No travel. Everything's done in Canada. No fans in the stands. They go on and win a Stanley Cup, and I don't have the actual facts of how many games were actually played, but it was a botched season.
I think it was less than six. I think it was around 60 games, less than 60 games. Somebody can remind us about that, the regular season.
You're more than welcome in the chat to hit Beth up. Beth is listening live, and she's in communication with me. So if there's a chat room available, great. If not, if you want to hit Beth up on Messenger or whatever it is in Facebook, and if you have the information, that would be great. I could take a look in a few minutes, and then we get into the 2020 season, and 2020, 2021, where the season is shortened. It's limited travel. You stay within your division pretty much. Limited amount of fans, and they go ahead and win a Stanley Cup. So everyone's saying, okay, Paul, what's your point? My point is this. If you look at how difficult it is to win a Stanley Cup, and then you look at how difficult it is, and the iconic teams that have won back-to-back Stanley Cups through every game, all the travel, all the injuries, everything that makes up the first season of the NHL, and then what we like to call the second season in the playoffs. How fair is that for the teams like the great iconic teams that have won back-to-back championships and
hard
have done
way
it through the vigorous process that the NHL has, compared to such a shortened season and limited travel, limited fans, just limited everything?
Well, if you're a Tampa Bay fan, you don't really give a crap. If you're a Tampa Bay player, you don't give a shit either. Okay? But there's a lot of this is the way it is in sports today. Okay, it's in every league now. There's always going to be something about how that team won a championship. The Houston Astros won it by supposedly having electronic devices. Tom Brady's like the greatest quarterback of all time, but he never gets hit, and they got caught cheating more than once. Okay? Now you got Tampa, who didn't do anything in the cheating department. They basically played by the rules, Paulie, unfortunately. For them to take this kind of criticism. Those are the rules that were set. COVID was in. We're not going to travel north. We're not going to go west. You're not going to play certain teams. You might never, go. They probably never had to go through the grueling, traveling part of it, because going from Tampa to Vancouver, Tampa to Calgary, Tampa, to LA. These are grueling trips. I know. I was doing that for 10 years in the National Hockey League. So I see your point. And it's legitimate, but it's still going to go down as, back-to-back Stanley Cup winners. And by them not playing everybody, I could see the other side of the story too, where people are going to say, hey, you didn't really play a full season. You didn't go through the regular grind. You didn't have to go through the ins and outs of an 82-game season. And you didn't play anybody last year. Canada had their own playoffs first, and then the United States. So it wasn't like going back and forth across the border playing like it would have been in the past. So yeah, it's a touchy situation, but you know, I don't feel as bad as I did a week ago about it because I start to think about it. If you're a player, okay, you're a Tampa Bay player. Do you really give a shit what people think? You won 2 in a row.
Right. No, I mean,
so you don't like it? Here, come shine my rings for me. You know what I mean? Think about it.
I get it. I totally understand. But
you're not wrong either. You're not wrong either. I mean, they did not go through what a standard journey of a Stanley Cup champion in past. That's all. I mean,
what'd you say?
That's a legitimate argument.
You said to me a couple of years ago, we were talking about a game, and I think you said something. You know, you always have a cute freaking remark. I think you said something like they don't draw pictures on the score sheet or what was it?
No, they don't draw pictures on a score sheet, and you know what? You can't throw that ring in the grocery store to pay for your groceries either.
So, I mean, you know, I've been asked to bring it up. I had to bring it up. We'll talk about it again.
Oh, I get it. You're down in Tampa. I mean, there's all kinds of people down there that are probably so pro about what Tampa's done, but I'm sure there's a couple like yourself that are a little irked at the way it was done. But you know what? It is what it is. And again, if you're on the Tampa Bay side, they don't give a shit.
And you can't blame them.
And if you're on the other side, you can always use it as a dig towards them.
Yeah. Well, you know, nobody talks about the teams that won. You know, we could talk about, you know, the Devils won a Stanley Cup in the shortened year. And I believe it was what?
That's true.
95, 96. You know,
yeah.
They played a short
But they won two. They won two the hard way too.
Came out of lockout.
But they won 2 the hard way, so you really can't go after them as much.
Exactly. So hey, let's move on. I'll come back to that subject. I'm sure there'll be lots and lots of questions. We'll talk New York Rangers here shortly. Kotze, you and I, before the show started, we were talking, and I'm looking at the article. Looks like PK Subban was fined $15,000 for some actions in the last Devils game. You want to go ahead and talk about it, or?
Yeah, I'm not. I can't. You know, I read the story, but because due to my old age and forgetfulness, I can't remember who he tripped a couple nights ago, and you know, they fined him $15,000. So this is look, PK Subban. I've had my thoughts on him for a few years now. He in his prime, he was a very talented player. Let's call it what it is. I mean, he's 35 years old now, or whatever. I don't know, mid-30s, but he's had 3 incidents already this year. Okay, he had, he got fined for the Milan Lucic thing, or suspended for a game or 2. I can't remember what. He did stick his foot out on Ryan Reeves at Madison Square Garden in the exhibition season, I believe it was. Yeah. And now you got this. Yeah, now my question, I'm gonna return right back to you. Is he not the dirtiest player in the league right now, or is there somebody better at playing dirty? I'm not sure. You know.
Well.
And yet, when he pulls off this kind of crap, does he really ever stand up for himself? I mean, I've seen him drop his gloves a couple times, right. But. You know, I think he's the dirtiest player in the league right now.
I was going to say Tom Wilson, but the difference is, like you said, the difference is...
I don't think, the Tom Wilson thing, let's get this straight too, okay? The only reason why everybody thinks he's dirty is because he destroys your team. What he did to Panarin last year was a little bit overboard, but, that was a regular occurrence way back in the day, and it would have been taken care of that night, okay? But... the only reason why people hate Tom Wilson is because he basically destroys your team. There's nobody that can match him. Yeah. So I don't look at Tom Wilson in that way. He hits hard. Does he hit a little high sometimes? Does he jump off his feet like his buddy Alex Ovechkin? Sure. You know what I mean? But I don't look at him like – I don't see him slew-footing people as often as PK Subban does. And the last thing I'll say about Tom Wilson is he'll stand up to you.
Right. I knew that's where
PK Subban won't. PK Subban, if he does, it's 1 out of every 10 instances. That's it.
If that. Yeah. No, agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And, like the Devils, I hear there's a rumor they're trying to get rid of him, trying to trade him right now because he's still, I don't know how many years he's got left on that atrocious deal Montreal gave. They gave him like $9 or $10 million a year for 10 years. And I mean, he's laughing all the way to the bank. Don't get me wrong. Right. And I tell you, again, I'll remind everybody. At one time, he was a pretty damn good hockey player.
He sure was. No, absolutely.
Just a cheap shot.
All right. So I know you got a couple things that you want to cover. I am going to. I gotta.
Are you gonna open another beer or something? What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna get up for 1 second. I'm gonna leave the screen. I'm gonna leave you here with my amazing Panthers jersey, because that's the kind of guy I am. That's for Joel Quenneville here. Okay.
Oh yeah, that's too bad. One thing I do want to talk about though is the New York Rangers. We're going to get into the New York Rangers right now, and I watched basically every game, although I missed most of the one that they played very well the other night, 1-4-0, because I was at Chiller Theater Horror Con in Parsippany, New Jersey. But I got back just in time as the crowd was cheering on Shesterkin, and the Rangers were playing a pretty solid game. But they're on another 4-game road trip. They had the game in the bag last night, I think, at 2-0 going into the third, even though I didn't think they played very well. I thought they played good in parts and were mediocre at times for the first 2 periods, and even bad at some time. I mean, taking all the penalties they took. But, boy, oh boy, to give up 2 quick goals like they did last night in 5 minutes or less than 5 minutes, and then just really horrendous, sloppy overtime play cost them a game. You can't be. You got to realize you're playing 3-on-3 now. This is not regular hockey. People, get this through your head, people. This is not hockey anymore. This is called rope-a-dope. You go up the ice, you come back down the ice, you circle, you pass, you do all this crap. It's not real hockey anymore. So what you're waiting for is that one mistake that the opposition makes, where 2 guys get caught, so now it's a 2-on-1 the other way, or it's a breakaway. That's basically what your 3-on-3 hockey comes down to, Paulie. And the Rangers blew it last night. I mean, they had a 5-on-3 with, under 5 minutes to go in the game last night, and Demko, the goalie for Vancouver, I mean, he was doing everything last night. He had his glove off on one hand, his leg up in the air, making a save. They couldn't hit the empty net, but I'm just looking at the Rangers overall. I mean, people got to be pleased. There's a lot of things that still need to be worked on this team. I think their defensive zone play is still horrendous, especially their passes. I mean, they're like top 5 or 6 in the league in giveaways. That stuff's got to stop, and you cannot count on your goaltender for 60 out of your 80 games. You know what I mean? Sooner or later, that's got to stop. And trust me, coming up on Friday night in Edmonton, you pull that crap off with your giveaways in your own end, Edmonton will make you pay for it, because they haven't run into a team with the offensive prowess that Edmonton has outside of Toronto, and Toronto was struggling at the time. Yeah. But you can't complain overall with their record, though, Paulie. I mean, they're not gelled as a team. Their top players, Zibanejad and Panarin, I don't think they're playing their best, even though the numbers might say different on some of them. And I think it's also time for Capo Caco and Alex Lafreniere and Philip Hedl to start showing why you're in the National Hockey League. I mean, the first 2 guys I mentioned, they're number 2 overall, and the number 1 overall pick. Yeah. And on Hedl, I mean, we're on year 5. Year 5 with Philip Hedl. They need these guys to step it up.
Yeah.
Goaltending's not a problem.
No, I had to go to bed last night, but I will tell you, holy moly! I mean, Shesterkin has been. I don't know what else you can ask from the guy. I mean, the grade A opportunities up the middle of the ice on this guy have. It's been win, lose, or draw. It's been game after game after game. I have counted. I'm like, oh my God. I mean, right between the dots, between the circles, up through the hash marks, guys with point blank opportunities. And he has made save after save after save. And I said to myself, you know, if this, it reminds me of the days, Cots, when, you know, when we had the Instigators Hockey Show on Blog Talk Radio, one of the intros, the intro, I had, you know, the chant of Henrik Lundqvist. I mean, yeah. This guy is really falling into that where he's saving games, he's keeping them in. And again, you like you said, you got to be happy with the record. But to watch the grade A chances against, like you said, you start hitting these Edmonton teams, and teams start to come into their own. It's very early. You know, I think we're going to see a much different outcome, and the defense has it's got to get fixed.
It's not just the defense in their defense.
Team defense. You know, I don't know. I can't remember the last.
I'll say Panarin's made some awful passes. Like that. Yeah, but you know, Panarin is one of your leaders, and he's made some of the dumbest passes I've ever seen by an NHL player in the last since the beginning of the season inside his own zone. So this is all stuff that's really, you know, you're taking too much of a chance. You got to make the simple play. But getting back to Shesterkin, I'm going to do a mea culpa here. I wasn't sure about this guy. You know, he had all these great accolades coming out of the KHL, and I don't care what anybody says. The KHL is the KHL. I mean, it's not the NHL.
Right.
So I wasn't sure about this guy, and I was thinking that Georgiev could battle for number one. And I still think George is a great goaltender. I don't care what people tell me. He's never really been given a chance to be the number one all the way. But Shesterkin's like, he's living up to what all the accolades were, Paulie, what all the forecast was. He's living up to it and more right now. And while I'm on that, I'm going to jump on the Adam Fox thing right now. I don't think in my lifetime I've seen such an under-the-radar player ever in the league go from point A to superstar status as fast as he has.
Yeah.
Think about it, Paulie.
No, I agree.
You know, when they made the move to pick him up, you know, this is another defenseman, blah, blah, blah. Wow.
Yeah.
And he's got 100 points already in his career. They signed him to he could bring the big dump truck back to pick up the money now, $9.5 million average. I mean,
yeah.
But you know what? It's a smart move by Chris Drury, and you got to give a lot of props to Adam Fox. The guy works hard. The guy, you know, he's got a great head for the game of hockey. He's got good puck handling skills. You and I talked about it. He's got great maneuverability in that such a small area. He doesn't need a big area to maneuver around people and stick handle around people. I realize it's a different game. I will, you know, repeat that again. Where, you know, nobody's tugging on you, nobody's grabbing on you, nobody's hooking you, nobody's slashing the shit out of you like they would if they were getting beat like that in my day. You know what I mean? But good move by Drury, and again, big props to Adam Fox. I mean, he's like that shooting star is how it worked out when he went from 0 miles an hour to like 300 miles an hour in a short span in his career.
No doubt. I mean, I'm highly impressed with him. Yeah, like you said, just signed a 66.5 million over what, 7 years? So that's 9.5 mil. Yeah, I mean, welcome to the NHL, there, big boy.
Well, he probably would have got 10 or more, or 11 or more if he'd have been a free agent.
I
So,
mean, he wins the, he wins the Norris. I mean, I'm glad he's a New York Ranger. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
I am so impressed with his ability. And again, I met a couple weeks ago. I was on a business trip, and I met some Ranger fans out of New Jersey at this business trip, and we all just, you don't want to compare Fox to Leach, because Leach has been such a legend for the New York Rangers and what he did and how he was, but when you could even mention him in the same categories as what Leach brought when he was a rookie, the skating, the intelligence. He's pretty intelligent. I can't say that I watch him and say, I will say this, and I don't know if a lot of Ranger fans will agree with me. There was times when McDonough showed brilliance when he played.
absolutely.
And there was times when I said, oh my God, where's the hockey sense in that play?
Yeah.
I thought he would make one play, he'd intercept the pass, boom, he'd be down the ice with either a pass or a skate or whatever, and it turns into a goal. And there'd be times where he would make such a boneheaded play, it was like, was it the same player?
Well, he flattened out, Paulie, after his first couple of years, and I think it had a lot to do with him being a captain and putting the pressure on him, and he couldn't handle his properly, I think, and that's why his game kind of regressed. But I've said this to you too. He's in Tampa now, so he's not the lead dog. Where in New York he was the lead dog on defense. So his game has actually gotten better now because there's no pressure on him in Tampa. But getting back to here's the thing that people got to remember. Okay, you can't compare eras the way the game's played today.
Sure.
If you do that, you're just a complete idiot.
Sure.
You can't do it.
Right.
How would Brian Leach play today if nobody slashes him, nobody hits him, nobody does anything dirty to him?
Right.
Today.
Right.
How would Adam Fox play in our day when we realize we're getting like our pants taken off with all his moves and all his stick handling? Sooner or later, somebody's going to club him.
Right. Yeah.
So you can't compare eras.
Nope.
You can't do that.
Agreed.
So I'm going to leave it at this. I think Adam Fox is creating his own notoriety in today's hockey, and that's good enough for me.
Agreed. I'm just looking over a couple of things. It looks like, so I'm happy to say, Kotz, that
Is it working? Is it working?
everything seems to be working. There is a slight bit of lag. I believe it's on my side, but we'll be able to clean that up. I've gotten a few text messages and messages. I'm proud to say that we knocked out some of the kinks. Now, if Kotzi and I could just remember all the settings that we're at, we'll be golden.
Don't ask me.
I want to thank our
I got my secretary waiting up around here,
I want to thank our executive producer, Beth Penny, and I want to thank Lisa Katsopoulos for helping us out on the Katsopoulos side of the technical.
She got the chalkboard out for me. C-A-T, cat.
Oh my God! So it's been fun, and what else?
One thing though, before we go, can I get it in?
Oh yeah, we got 10 minutes. I was just giving us.
All right, but I want to get this in now. I want to get this in before I forget.
Sure.
You and I discussed about bringing people on. Okay, so we got to figure out a way how to bring them on the show. I got Darren Langdon. I want him to be my first guest on here. Our first guest. The guy's a great guy.
Right.
Had a damn good career. Think about it. Played a long time in the National Hockey League. Probably one of the quietest, tough guys that ever played the game. Right. You know what I mean? And I got to get him on. I got to get Paul Gardner on. We got to do something about what I want. This is for you people listening tonight. I want you to do a fan rant, a 2 minute, 3 minute, what you like, what you don't like, what you hate about the game of hockey, and we'll play it on here. Yes. I want to do that.
Yes.
So we got to figure out a way how to do this, where we can call up Darren and he can sit in front of his computer in Newfoundland and he can drink some of the, I think, the best maritime beer there is, probably some of the best beers in the world out in the Maritimes in Newfoundland there. The same thing with Paul Gardner. These are guys you want to hear stories from.
Absolutely. So on the technical side of things, I think we're
figure it out there, you guys. You and Beth, you guys got to figure that out.
We're almost there. Again, a lot of what we're doing. So just so everyone knows, a lot of people do Zoom meetings and things like that. So what we're doing here is we're running off of a Skype, and that's where a lot of the lag is. And it feeds into a software so I can split the screen and we can go on YouTube Live. So just so people understand that. So when we run into technical differences or problems, it could be, a mic is on and it shouldn't be on. It could be the camera is not, the camera mic is on and it shouldn't be. There should be a separate. So there's a couple of different things. So bringing a third person on adds that element. But we're almost there, I promise. I am going to work. The next thing I want to do is fix the lag. I would say, Kotze, how about this? I would say probably before Christmas time, we will have Darren Langdon on for sure. And hopefully he'll do more than one show with us. But I want to make sure everything is seamless when he does come on. Last thing I want to do is
I agree with that. I totally agree with that.
So I know Darren has some amazing stories that he'll share with hockey fans in general. Like you said, what an amazing story he has. The way he came up, the New York Rangers. He played with guys like Mess and some real good players in the game, and he had to do his job as the old-fashioned tough guys. He's probably fought some of the ugliest guys in the game. I'm sure he went with Colton Orr a few times. Brashear and some big dudes out there. So there'll be a lot to talk about with that. I just want to make sure, obviously, that the technical things and the lags and everything's in place, because that's going to be quite the treat for everyone. With that being said, it's a pleasure to be back, and especially in this new format of, a video where you guys can see us, and as the show progresses, the fan rant is something that Kotze has wanted for I can't tell you how long. We used to do that a little bit in the Instigators on Blog Talk. And then look at this guy. Kotze's a clown. You just don't know it. That's why he wants to be on the screen. I don't even know who that weird dude is.
This is one of my former head coaches.
Is that, what's his name? Come on.
Don't say it. You mean Brophy?
Oh, my God.
I got all kinds of...
You got Batman over there and everything else. Kotze's got some cool stuff.
What else have I got here? Look at this. Chubby Kotze with the whale.
Yeah, where is that? Yeah, look at that.
Yeah.
Back it up just a little bit.
I know we said it last week, but again, this was sold in the Hartford Whaler gift shop in the mall in Civic Center.
Yeah.
You think they would double check the name?
Just back
they
it
spelled
up a
it wrong.
Bit,
they spelled it wrong. You see? Behind me, you got the picture, the cartoon picture, which was sold, and they spelled it wrong.
Oh,
you wonder why they don't have an organization anymore.
Oh, man.
That's got nothing to do with the Hartford Whaler fans, though. The fans from Hartford, the hardcore fans that are still kicking, they were the best.
Yeah. You enjoyed your time in Hartford.
I enjoyed living there. The teammates, I think it was the only team I ever played on that out of the, say, 20, 25-man roster, you probably had like 3/4 of it live in town all year round.
Yeah.
Live in the city or live in Hartford. Fans are great, but I could give two craps what people think. The organization was horrible.
Where was Cody born? Was he born in Hartford?
No, Cody was born in Tirana.
Okay.
Toronto. 1988 he was born.
Ah. And what year were you with the Whale? 85?
I was there from 81 to 84, 85, and then I got traded in the summertime.
Right.
Because Emile Francis lied to me 2 years in a row. See that? The Hulk just fell. He lied to me 2 years in a row about contract. I'll take care of you. I'll take care of you. I'll take care of you. And then he never did. So I finally I made a decision. See, I was going to the 85-86 training camp. I was going. It was like the third day in the hotel. And he's trying to prove a point to me by trying to make me play. I'm only into my 6th year here, okay? 5th, 6th year. He has me penciled in to play a rookie squad game against the Boston Bruin rookie team. I saw that in the lobby, went upstairs, called my wife, come down, picked me up, and I walked out of training camp. That's what happened, people. People don't know the whole story about that.
Kotze walking out.
Emile Francis had done. Listen, Emile Francis did a lot of good things for a lot of players in his lifetime,
right.
But not for me. So I really don't have anything good to say about him.
Wow. See, you only get this stuff right here, so
Why should I say something good about him? He screwed me twice.
I get it. Listen, it's good information. I'm sure the fans love this stuff. They eat
I'm sure there's going to be fans that think different because he's such a legendary guy. I mean, I actually met Emile about probably 7-8 years ago in the green room at Madison Square Garden, where we're allowed to go before the game, and he came right over to my table and asked to sit down with me. I was very cordial with him, but I didn't get into it with him. I realize he's getting up there in age, and and so am I. But if you're going to ask me how he treated me like shit.
Yeah.
Okay?
So let's do two more things before we go.
All right.
I know we talked a little bit Rangers. We'll continue to talk Rangers. Obviously, it's where our heart and soul is. But, we like to go around the league and talk about many subjects out there. And, if there's a team that you want us to discuss and a player you want us to look into, obviously we'd love to do that for you as well. We talked about Adam Fox. Kotz, I love bringing this kind of stuff up because I know where we off ice, off camera. I know where we are when we talk about this stuff, but it's so much fun to bring our point of view about these things to the fans. So,
yeah.
What do you think about Kratz going to the KHL on loan from the New York Rangers?
I think I kind of explained this to you a couple months or what had happened, and I just think he's another spoiled Russian. Personally, I'll leave it at that. I mean, I try to compare. I'm being fair here too. Okay, I'm trying to compare it to any North American prospect that's playing hockey at this moment, and he's not happy where he is in his situation. What's he going to do? Is he going to threaten the team by telling them I don't want to go there and I'm going to go home to Russia?
Right.
What's he going to do? Say I'm going to go home to Lansing, Michigan? Where's he going to get a job there playing? Listen, this guy's obviously was talented enough to be drafted 9th overall. But have you really showed me anything? Like me, I watched him.
Right.
You haven't showed me anything that you're worthy of staying up with the big club.
Right.
So why not go down to the minors, work on your game, lead the Hartford Wolfpack in scoring, play great, and get called up immediately? No, I can't do that. I am Russian. I'm going back to the KHL. You know what I mean? Because he's got a place to go, and he knows he can get a paycheck there. Now, that's just my opinion now. I'm glad Chris Drury's the GM because he's doing it probably the proper way rather than my way. They've loaned him to the KHL team with the idea that he may possibly come back. There's an olive branch being sent out towards him and the Rangers still, apparently, and that's probably a good thing. But I'm just tired of this European stuff and this Russian stuff where they're not happy with the way things are here. They're not playing on a top 6 line. I should be this, I should be that. Well, I'm going back home. Yeah. I'm tired of that crap. It's been going on for 30 years now.
So it looks like he's not eligible to return to the Rangers and play in either the NHL or for the Hartford affiliate American Hockey League
until his season's over.
Until the KHL season is completed. Yeah. So I think, Kotz, I had this.
There's a line, Paulie. Let me stop. There's a lineup going on right now. Yeah. There's a lineup of young guys on the Rangers that are trying to show themselves. Sure. Starting with Taco, starting with Lafreniere, Hedel. You know what I mean? You got the guys down in the minors, Morgan Barron, Schneider, the defenseman, Lundqvist, the defenseman. There's a lineup. You better get in line.
Right, agreed.
You don't get to jump ahead of somebody because you're sulking.
Agreed. I had this discussion a couple of weeks ago, and with the Rangers and their picks, and finally kind of loading up on first rounders. The Rangers' roster is starting to fill up with first round picks, and it's nice. And then you got this situation where he doesn't make the team, especially off the bat, and he pouts and stomps his feet and I want to get traded. I want to go home. I want to get traded. I want to go home. I think I'm happy with this resolution right now. Let the kid go play in the KHL. Maybe get his bearings set. I don't know. Maybe he takes a stick to the head and wakes up or something. But maybe the light turns on for the kid. But I was kind of aggravated with the fact that they would even entertain trading him. Simply for the fact that it would have been a reward for him to be moved on, and then again, there's a lot of upside and potential, and I hate for the Rangers to just give him up. So I think this was a good resolution. I have to tell you that I am so impressed with the job that Chris Drury is doing. I don't know about you.
I agree. I totally agree with you.
This team,
I totally agree with you.
You talk about a guy that's got no experience in the front office, okay, and puts together, we do have a couple minutes, but he puts together a much tougher team that we, for years on Blog Talk Radio as the Instigators Hockey team, as the Instigators Hockey Club, I can't remember a time we said, wow, the Rangers look like a tough team tonight. We begged to see guys like Tanner Glass, Brandon Price play, in and out of lineups. And now all of a sudden Chris Drury comes in. They get rid of Gordon. They get rid of JD. And I know a lot of Ranger fans love JD. To a guy like Chris Drury, and bang, he puts together a pretty balanced team when it comes to ruggedness and toughness. We talked about Sammy Blais. This kid, I just love this kid. Tonordi was tough. You go out and get Ryan Reeves. You just get bigger, stronger, uglier. And this guy is 15 minutes in the job, Kotz. I mean,
Oh, you got to remember though, Paulie. He was under Gordon there for a couple of years at least, and he was general manager of the Hartford Wolfpack for at least 2 years. So it's not like he didn't know, he had no experience coming in about managing and moving players around.
Right.
But he recognized that the team didn't have anybody that would initiate physical contact in a group type situation. You know what I mean? Like some teams do.
Right.
Well, he's got that now. And this has got nothing to do with fighting, okay? 10, 15 years ago, you and I and everybody else would have been screaming for a guy that needs to fight. This is about playing hard against the other team. This is about hitting them before they hit you. And right now, they're one of the leading teams in the league with hits. When's the last time you could ever say that with the New York Rangers? 1980, 81?
Yeah.
Jeez, I remember that year. No, I'm just kidding.
There,
but you understand what I'm saying here.
Yeah.
Teams are going to get hit now when the hit's available, where I'll say it the way it is. In the past 5-6 years, as good a teams they've had or bad teams they had, there's a lot of skate bys, a lot of drive bys without touching anybody.
Right.
Sammy Blade's not going to give up a hit. Okay? Goodrow's not going to give up a hit. Ryan Reeves is definitely not going to give up a hit.
Right.
And I think it rubs off on the other guys, too. And they're starting to throw their body around a little bit, too, knowing that, I feel pretty good about myself now. Let's go and throw the body around a little bit.
Sure.
And you got to do that to be a National Hockey League Stanley Cup contender eventually. Because even as, you just look at all the Stanley Cup teams that won the last 10 years. You're going to tell me they didn't have one of the top grinding hitting teams? Show me one that wasn't.
Right.
So Drury's done a good job in that department. And the only other thing I want to say about the Kravtsov thing is this. This has to be dealt with properly, because he already had one of these problems with Elias Anderson.
Right.
A spoiled guy. Oh, wow, I'm going back to Sweden. F you. That's basically what he told the Rangers. So maybe they might have to change some of their scouting tactics about who they're drafting from now in the future, because you can't have this kind of crap in your organization where it's 1 year, 2 years later, the same things happen again. But I think Chris Drury did the right thing, like you said. Let him play in the KHL. Let the cooler heads prevail. Good thing I'm not in charge, because I wouldn't have him back, period. But Chris Drury's doing the right thing. Maybe he proves over there. Maybe he realizes he grows up a little bit and understands he's got to earn his spot.
So before we end the show, I'm gonna throw something out to the listeners, and for our next show, I'd like some comments on this. I think back to how excited we were as Ranger fans with the name of Dylan McIlrath. And, obviously, I don't think he's even in the NHL at this point.
I think he's in Washington. I think he's with Washington, but not with the big club.
Right.
He played a little bit with them.
And I think he went to Florida for a little bit.
He went from the Rangers to Detroit.
And he didn't really crack any lineups. Is my point. So,
no, he blew his knee out. That was one of the biggest problems with the Rangers. He blew his knee out.
Yep.
And never. I know where you're going with this. Go ahead, finish up your thoughts, and I'll give you mine.
My thing was the Rangers were hanging their hat on. Well, we drafted tough and Dylan McIlrath, and he never really cracked the lineup, and the coaching staff were and I think it was probably Alain Vigneault at the time. Was it Vigneault, or was it still Tortorella? I think it was Vigneault. The kid really just never made an impact. And, back then we were talking about how this team needed toughness, And after admitting that the team needed toughness and went ahead and spent the draft choice, and I'm pretty sure Dylan McIlrath, so the homework for people is, I want to know when he was selected as the Rangers, because I'm pretty sure they skipped over Niederreiter, or whatever his name was. What was his name? They had an offensive player they could have went with, but they went with McIlrath. The guy never cracks the lineup. And my point of this was, it was at that time, there was an acknowledgement at that time that this team needed to either draft toughness or bring up some toughness, and it never developed until here we are in 2021, where Chris Drury fills the need of this team. And like you said, it's not always just about fighting. It's
not today's day.
It's about hitting. It's about defending. Your good players. It's all of those things. And, it's so many years later. I don't want to say a decade, but it's close to 6 or 7 years ago, right?
Yeah.
And when we knew we were addressing, the team wanted to address toughness then and did nothing throughout until we hit Chris Drury. And like I said, I remember with Elaine Vigneault, and you and I were still broadcasting on Blog Talk Radio for the Instigators Hockey Show, and we were just shaking our heads to see, why did Tanner Glass have to beg, piss and moan to get in the lineup, when every time he was in the lineup, there was a difference. There was a little more hitting. There was a little more confidence, and I just never understood why it never got to the. It seemed like we recognized it, but we continued to not fill the need until Chris Drury comes along and says, "We know there's a need, and we're going to get tougher."
You know what? I can't say they didn't try to fill the need. They did draft McElrath, who was King Kong in the Western Hockey League. His knee blowout kind of set him back a few years before he got to the Rangers. When he got to the Rangers, I'm not 100%, but I'm probably 90% sure it was Alain, the soft coach Vigneault, that didn't want that style of hockey.
Right.
And if you're going to draft a guy that plays like that, that's not smooth skating, not quick, but a tough guy, you have to pair him with a slick skating guy. Kind of like, let's see, Jeff Bukaboom and Brian Leach. Remember that?
Right.
Remember that?
Exactly.
How well did they play?
Exactly.
So I'm not going to make excuses like 100% for McElrath, but he never really got a fair shot. And his knee problem kind of set him back a bit. But you can't say that they haven't addressed that at times, though, Paulie, because, they did have Colton Orr at one time, okay? They did have Boogaard. But were they like the Boogaard thing was Tortorella, and was he ever used properly? I don't know. And I like Torch. You hate him. You know what I'm saying? But this is what's changed from then. You had guys like McGrattan. You had guys like Brashear in the league. You had guys like Colton Orr. There was a fighter on every team back then. This is not that long ago, like you said. It's only like 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago. Now there's not a fighter on every team.
Right.
The game's changed. What the Rangers have done is they acquired Reeves, and that's like the best security deposit you could ever have.
Right.
And he don't have to drop his gloves one time. But you brought in Blaze, you brought in Goodrow. You got guys that hit. Rooney hits. They're all hitting now a little bit more than they did. Guys that you don't even expect are hitting now because they're seeing somebody else do it, going, well, hell, I better get in on this.
Right.
And to me, if and when everything clicks with the top players and some of the young guys start to show why they were drafted, and you combine that consistent hitting game, you're going to wear the shit out of teams. You're going to wear them down. That defenseman by the third period is going to say, shit, I'm tired of getting hit. You know what I mean? That's how you win hockey games. You wear teams down. And with the solid goaltending, you know what I mean? The parts are there. And Chris Drury did the right thing. He didn't just go out and get a guy like Goodrow who could just play a third line, fourth line. He kills penalties.
Right.
You know what I mean? Sammy Blais has, I think, potential to be better offensively on top of what you've seen so far. But it's just a matter of the pecking order now. See, that's the other thing I wanted to get before we go, too, is, Lafreniere, Kakko, Chytil, they really have to do some outstanding stuff to showcase themselves to be a number one line or a number two line. And the trouble they have is there's a Zibanejad, there's a Kreider, there's a Panarin ahead of them, a Strome. So they're used to being the guy where they came from. Kakko was the guy in Finland. Okay?
Right.
Same thing with Lafreniere. all of a sudden they're not even in the top 6 on a team.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying here? Like, so where's their positioning in their minds? That's what they have to deal with right now, those guys. They got to understand that they're not going to take Zibanejad's job right now. They're not going to take Panarin's job right now. They're not going to take Kreider's job right now. So you're gonna have to start showing little by little, game in, game out, for the little ice time that you get. Or you're going to get all this criticism about you being a number 2 pick, a number 1 overall pick, a guy we've been waiting on for 5 years in Hedl. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's hard. It's not that easy because you don't get the ice time that you're used to having because you did not show right away. Most of the guys that get drafted first overall, Paulie, most of the guys that get drafted second, they usually go to crap shit teams. That's why they start right away. That's why some of them hit right away.
Right.
Because they're automatically thrown into the number 1 spot.
Right.
Well, the Rangers got lucky with the ball. Yeah. Remember? Like, they weren't the crap team.
Right.
So you got to put all this into perspective. I mean, I'm hoping that they get a little better, but it's got to happen soon.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed 100%. I think we're gonna have to save something for the next show. But I got to tell you that, watching and analyzing the last couple of games, win, lose, or draw, like I said, Kotz, before we get out of here, before we end the show, real quick, I know you said we got to be happy with the standings. How do they clean up these grade A chances against? Obviously, it's not defense as a defense player or defensive core or the top 6 defensemen. It's more of a team effort to clean up. When a guy is allowed, almost unabated at times, to almost be within the hash marks with grade A chances coming down the middle of the ice, how is Kotze, real quick, how is that best defended, and where does their true responsibility fall on? Is that just not taking your man up the ice? Is it the centerman should be in the center of the ice regardless there, taking care of one of the forwards down low? How does that – I've seen so many times where somebody's breaking down the middle of the ice when we're in the zone and opportunities with a quick pass up, inside the hash marks, just outside the circles or whatever it is, where they're like grade A chances. Where do you defend that? Where does it start? Does it start?
Well, you got, as a player, you got to have a real keen sense of awareness out there. Okay, if the puck's in the corner and you're my partner left defense, and you're going in to challenge the guy or try and take the puck off him in your own zone, my head's got to be aware of what's around me. I can't just look at you and see what's going on over there.
Right.
I got to know what's around.
Right.
And from that corner, my mind has to be made up. Who's the next most dangerous guy? It's not the guy 25 feet up in the slot. It's the guy in front of the net. Right. Now that guy up in the slot, that's a centerman's guy.
Right.
It's the same thing with the winger in that situation too. I think what you're seeing is guys are picking up the wrong guys. And not aware of what's around him. You can't be focused on the puck the whole time when you're fighting in the defensive zone. Sure. That's not high school, that's house league hockey, where everybody looks at the puck, oh, let's go get it. You can't do that. You have to be aware of what's around you.
Right.
You know, when the kids play, they all there's the puck, let's just get the big scrum. You can't do that. And the other thing is, and I think we mentioned it earlier tonight too, is what I've seen so far, and this is probably one of the big causes of the giveaway stat, is the Rangers had the puck in their own zone. And they made some really iffy type pass that got deflected. didn't get outside the blue line. So now you got two guys that are already racing outside the blue line. The third guy inside the blue line is the guy that blew the pass in the first place. That could be a defenseman or a forward too. I'm not blaming one or the other here. They're both taking the same shot. So now, in the meantime, you got three guys coming in on two because you made a shitty pass.
Right.
It's about making the right pass at the right time. I mean, Panarin, again, he's got 10 points, and yet his passing's been horrible so far this year. On the goals that he's set up, great. But some of the passes in the mid zone and inside his own blue line, they know it. They're not going to bring it up. But trust me, Gerard Gallant coaching staff, they see it and they know it.
Right.
Regardless of what Sam and Joe say every night, they know it. Okay? Trust me.
Yeah. No,
they know it.
Agreed.
They know it. When those guys are on, they're absolutely incredible to watch, him and Zibanejad. And Kreider, geez, I was surprised he scored a goal the other night by actually shooting one from 25 feet.
Yeah.
He rocketed that one. But that's what it comes down to in the defensive zone. You can't just focus on where the puck is all the time. If they got the puck in your zone, you got to be looking around. Okay, who's the next dangerous guy?
Right.
Like that guy who scored yesterday for Vancouver to make it 2-2, Pod something or whatever. You can see that he was flying. You didn't see the goal, Paulie, because you were sleeping, but he come flying down the left side. Vancouver player wraps around the net, and he can hear him. Perfect pass, perfect shot, quick. Shesterkin had no chance. The only chance he had if it hit him. Right. Who was lagging on the play? Who was that? Whose man was that? It was Lafreniere's. He was a step and a half behind him. That's not a defenseman's guy.
Right.
That's all I'm talking about. It's about awareness. If one guy makes a mistake, you don't make a mistake and make it worse. That's my point.
Right.
And that's what's happening right now. They're bad. They're making bad passes in their own zone when they have control of the puck. And when they get running around, it's because they're not focusing on the right guys.
Right. Yeah.
I knew that part of the game. I just couldn't do it all the time because I didn't have Brian Leetch's skating ability.
The X's and O's. I love doing the X's and O's. We're going to do more sessions of X's and O's. I'm also going to start incorporating some video that we can break down and take a look at. So pretty excited about this year with the technical advances. As we move on, the show will get bigger and better and stronger. So stick with us, and I hope you're enjoying it. Please hit us up on Facebook. I'm Paulie D, and obviously Chris Katsopoulos. Beth runs a great program for us in the Instigator.
And I hope you're doing well, Beth.
We want to wish her a speedy recovery from a recent procedure that she went through. We're all, well, the bottom line is I told you this, Beth. This is easy for you. You got this. She's a champ. She just finished going through a procedure. So we love you. We wish you well, and we thank you for all that you do on the show and with us behind the scenes. It's incredible. She does so much for us. So hit us up on the Instigators Hockey Show group on Facebook. Please request Katsi and myself as your friends out there, and feel free to message us with any questions that you have, and anything that you'd like us to discuss as we grow here on YouTube. And subscribe. Please subscribe and like. Like everyone asks you, the only way the show is going to grow and do more and more and be able to reach maximum capacities is, everyone in that group needs to subscribe to this, add it and share it with everyone. We need all the likes and the love so we can continue to grow and bring you the real deal in not only hockey news, but we're going to have some cool segments with, like I said, doing X's and O's with Kotze, and, bringing some real interesting players on to talk about the deeper side of things, things that you don't necessarily hear we don't. This ain't. Let me explain something to you. There's a reason why we're not part of the corporate NHL group. We want to bring you the information. We're not going to pad it. We're not going to code it. We're going to bring it the way it is, and we're going to give you perspectives that that aren't so vanilla and aren't so commercialized. You know, that's why we're called the instigators. You know, we have a different thought, and we want you to feel free to bring your thoughts and your ideas and what you want to know. You know, not everybody wants to talk about the X's and the O's, and I get that, and the pretty plays and the new draft choices. People want to know the insights of hockey, and it's such a dynamic that Chris brings to the program. Obviously, as a former player, he's been in the locker room, he's been around players, he's dealt with them. You know, he's been there, he's done it. So the insight that he gives the program shows so many that you know there's so many different sides, and there's so many things to look at in the game of hockey, and we like to bring that side to you because you don't get it anywhere else. You're not going to get this on NHL Network. I can promise you that. You know, so that's what we're trying to achieve here, and hopefully you're loving it. That's all I got.
That's it, big boy.
That's it.
Very well spoken, and you know, like I said, robust, but the truth. You know, that's kind of discussion we want. I'm not going to bullshit anybody. You're going to ask me a question, I'm going to tell you what I think. If they don't like it, they don't have to like it. Just listen.
I love it. All right. So stay tuned in the Instigators Hockey Group on Facebook. It's where we really promote the show and tell you when our next programming is. We like to usually stick around some Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I want to stay away from football, and obviously we like to kind of skate around. Pun on words. We kind of skate around New York Ranger hockey nights because we do talk a lot, and I know a lot of people in the group are New York Ranger fans. Though we do all NHL, I want everyone to understand that.
And don't forget my Toronto Maple Leaf fans.
There we go. You know.
And my Canuck fans up there. There's a lot of guys that I know that love the Ottawa Senators and even the Montreal Canadiens, who aren't doing so well these days, are they?
You know, when Chris was growing up, he was a Boston Bruins fan. I don't know if he should.
Yes, I was.
Yeah. So
my whole family hated me.
I'm sure they did. With that being said, I want to thank everyone, and I mean we went well over an hour and a half here, so it's good stuff.
Yeah. Till next time, folks.
All right, we'll see you next time right here, the Instigators Hockey Show. Good night, everyone.